This is Scott the Fix-It Guy. Our goal with our videos is to empower you to be able to do the repairs on your own and save a whole lot of money and also get that great feeling of having fixed it by yourself.
Today we have a Wolf range that keeps clicking, so when you turn on the stove sometimes it doesn't light but you hear it clicking, and sometimes even after it lights it keeps clicking. So we're going to take a look at this. This is on the front left burner. So we've removed the little burner cap and the grate. We removed the grate first, and then we removed the little center cap and then the burner ring, and then we're going to lift up on this drip pan by hooking something in the front and just lifting up. It comes up pretty easy. So you lift up from the front first and then you kind of pull it out from the back. And this gives you really good availability to get to the parts. Really like this design. So this part here comes off, this ring, by just lifting up. And this part in the middle, if you could get I think it's a 22 millimeter Allen wrench and turn it lefty-loosey, you want to remove that. This is kind of what that Allen wrench looks like. I believe it's 22 millimeters, and once you get that off, it's going to help you get the igniter off. So the next thing we would do is remove the little screws here. They're Phillips head screws on either side, and also we were going to remove these two hoses. There's one in the front, one in the back, and we're going to use a wrench to disconnect this brass fitting. We're going to go lefty-loosey or counterclockwise. You may have to grip the other end of it with a pair of pliers or another wrench so that it doesn't move, and then you can go to the left there until it's loose, and then you can use your fingers to do the latter part to remove that. So that's bringing gas in for the pilot. And the one in the back brings the main gas in. So doing the igniter is pretty easy as long as you can get that central piece off with the 22 millimeter Allen wrench. If you can't, because it's just stuck, it's okay. There's another way to do it. So I'm going to take out these two Phillips head screws. Zip those out. Those should come out pretty easy. And then there's that one hose there on the back that's bringing the main gas in, and we're going to use a wrench to loosen that, and then we'll just take it off by hand. And then you have the whole burner assembly available to you, and then to do the igniter switch is pretty easy. The igniters for the Wolf range are kind of expensive, but probably only need to replace them maybe every decade. They go for a long time. It's usually the front ones that will wear out first because we use them all the time. Here's the igniter wire. We can see the igniter underneath. I'm going to use a small screwdriver to push away on the circlip, and that's going to come off, and then there's a spring. You can take the spring off, and then the igniter should come up toward the top of the burner. But if that ring is still on there, it won't come up because it's kind of trapped. So what you can do, what I ended up doing on this one is I broke the igniter and then I drilled it out, the porcelain pieces that were left. So I got that out, and now I'm using a wire brush to clean up the area. Remember though, if you can get this central piece off that we were talking about with the Allen wrench, you won't have to break it off. Here's the new igniter part. We'll put a link in the description below too. And it comes with the igniter and a spring and a circlip to hold it. So here's the new igniter. So we're going to put that into position into that hole with the electrode toward the top and the spade connector toward the bottom. We're going to push it down in, and you'll notice that this part here needs to go underneath the little gap that the central piece has in the way. Since mine couldn't come off, I ended up grinding down the metal piece with a file that allowed me to get the igniter underneath this part right here. But if you're able to take off that central piece, then you won't have to do any filing or grinding. Again, here's the kind of wrench that you need to get that central piece out. So now I'm just got that spring pushed down, and I'm pushing the circlip back into a ridge in the porcelain to lock it in. That keeps the igniter from moving around. This is the old wire that used to come up to the igniter, and I'm going to strip it back to expose the conductor, the metal wire. If you're able to get the stove out easily, then you wouldn't have to do this. You could just run a new wire over to the spark module. But this one was really not going to move at all, so I decided I would just splice in a new wire. This wire comes with the kit when you order the igniter. I'm using a porcelain wire nut because they're heat resistant. They won't get messed up by heat. I would not use plastic. You get that really tight. And I've got about maybe a foot of new wire there. I'm going to put it up through this hole. And this, if you look at the wire that comes with the kit, the spade connector female side, there's a big one and a little one, and you want to use the big side to go onto the igniter. The little side goes onto the spark module. So I'm going to get that on, wiggle it on. It's a tight fit, which is good. A lot of times when your stove clicks and has trouble, you can fix most of it by repositioning the different parts, like the burner ring, and by cleaning it. Usually you don't have to replace the igniter. This one had to get replaced because the porcelain was broken, and it really wasn't allowing the electrons to flow out and make a jump and make a spark. So I had to replace that. So I'm putting that main gas hose back on the burner. I'm going to get it finger tight, and then I'll use my wrench to get it a little tighter. Careful with these that you don't go crazy tight or crazy hard, because you can break these parts. They're not super strong. So I'm just going a little tight. And then I'll push in this brass fitting and kind of wiggle it in there, get it to start by hand, and then later I'll tighten it with the wrench. So with brass fittings, it's recommended to use open-end exact size wrenches instead of these adjustable wrenches. Just didn't have one, so it will work to use just a crescent wrench, but better to use open-end wrench that fits exactly, because brass is so soft. So I'm just making sure these are nice and snug. And I'll put in those two Phillips head screws that hold the burner in place. These Wolf ranges last a long time. They're commercial grade, really tough, and easy to replace parts, easy to fix things. Down over to the left of the frame here is where the model number is. It's on the frame of the range over by my left hand. If you ever need to check the model number, you have to get the drip plate off first. So I'm using the wire brush just to clean things up a little bit. Highly recommend having a couple wire brushes if you own this type of stove, because you got to clean it up now and then. So I'm going to clean the burner ring, basically all the metal pieces that touch each other, I want to get them all clean, because that's part of what creates a strong spark. It's like creating a really good, clean, intact wire. Any corrosion makes that spark weaker. I'm making sure the burner ring locks in and can't move. There's a little detent piece that locks it in, so keep twisting it until you feel like it won't move anymore. It's really locked. So I'm putting the drip plate back in. The back part goes in first, then the front part last. Put the burner ring back on. I'll clean it up a little bit first. These holes should all be open. I'm making sure this back one's really locked in. This little detent goes right there. It's like a male side, female side. And then I'm going to push it and wiggle it, make sure it won't spin anymore, but it locks in. The middle piece is easy, you just put it back on. Put the grate back on. And same thing on this ring. Line up this little piece here with this opening here. And there's a line on the burner ring that lines up with the igniter. That helps you too. It should always be on the same line. So I'm just pushing in and wiggling, making sure it's locked in. And it shouldn't be able to turn anymore. Put in that central piece. Put the grate back on, and we'll give it a test. Hit that backwards, there we go. It only fits on one way. It'll lock into position. Alright, let's give it some gas. So the front one looks good. Lights pretty fast. Nice flame. Here we go. Test out some of the other ones. Looks good. Nice blue flame. Front one. Pretty good. So if you're noticing that it takes a lot of clicking and it just doesn't light, probably you just got to do some cleaning. Show you how to do it. Front one looks good. So just taking that wire brush, cleaning again any metal surface that touches another metal surface. That little central ring that comes off so easily, that one you want to get super clean, because that's where the spark electrode jumps and touches that one to create the flame to start the main flame. So that one's critical to be super clean, and it gets really dirty. So you want to get it like shiny. I'm actually using a little electrical cleaner too. You can get the stuff at Home Depot in the electrical section, and put it on, light it up. It'll burn for a little bit because the electrical cleaner has to burn off. Test the back one, front one. Pretty good. Let me do this back right one. So I remove the grate. Just testing them again. They're lighting pretty fast. So if yours isn't lighting, I would clean it up really good and make sure the burner ring is locked in and not at some weird angle, but it's laying really flat. Let's take a look at this one. Here's the front right one. Front right one, we were getting good flame right in the middle, but the outside was not producing much flame at all. And it's because these little these little holes on the edge of the ring were clogged with some kind of food debris, probably like boil over from milk. Got caught in there and just clogged it up. So I'm taking something sharp here and I'm going in and just cleaning out each one of the holes. You could use a needle to do that. You could use a piece of wire You could use a straightened paper clip. So just go in there and just clean out all those holes. And then again, use your wire brush to clean the bottom of the burner ring and the top so that it creates a really good electrical connection for when that spark has to jump to ground from the electrode. It's going to look for the easiest way to get to ground, and a clean metal connection creates a really good ground. If you made it a point of doing this procedure every quarter, like every 3 months, your stove's going to work really good. And it's probably mainly only going to be needed to be done on the front 2 burners because they get all the use. So I'll spray a little electrical cleaner on there. Kind of fun to use this stuff because when you light it up you get a big flame. Other things can cause the problem of constant clicking though. If the burners got wet, sometimes they'll just click, 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 click. You can use a hair dryer to just really get the burner super dry. You can also try using a different ground connection for your electrical plug. Instead of the one in your kitchen, you could try it on an extension cord because you may have a bad ground connection on your electrical outlet. Thanks so much for watching our video. We really appreciate your support. And when you get a chance, please press the subscribe button below so you can be subscribed, and also the notification bell so we can send you more videos about appliance repair. Please also give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video. If you really liked the video and it really helped you, please press this new applaud button and you can show your support and also get a nice clapping hands for your video. Thanks again.